Could we admit that?
Absolutely. If I hadn't been married twice before then
you couldn't
to
have
some
handled it.
tough dames, no, I couldn't have handled it. That was my training ground, just like Fox was my training ground to finally get in front of a camera, you know.
James Brolin, the quiet warrior of Hollywood who weathered rejection, grief, insomnia, and the hard journey to fame, is now going through the worst time of his life at 85. The love that saved him, gave him strength, and put him back together is fading away because of a disease that hasn't been made public yet. And for the first time in a long time, James is saying something he never thought he would have to say. I can't commit. She needs me. Before we go on, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for future updates. Their love wasn't like the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. It was made from pain, survival, and new possibilities. Barbra Streisand and James Brolin met in 1996. They were both people who had been through a lot of tragedy, heartache, and loneliness in their lives. She had been through decades of pain, loss, and being watched. He had lived through insomnia, failure, divorce, poverty, and years of sleeping in a rusty Volkswagen behind a 7-Eleven. And somehow, despite everything that life threw at them, they found serenity in each other. Their marriage was the quiet miracle that Hollywood rarely gets right for 25 years. They had their own money and their own schedules, and yet they were emotionally closer than anyone else. But today, that link is being put to the test in the worst way possible. Barbra's health has taken a terrible turn, one that her staff hasn't officially named, but that many close to her are talking about. James has canceled jobs, turned down millions of dollars, and walked away from chances he previously fought for, all to be with her. This isn't a story about being famous, it's about love, fighting against time. A childhood spent in heat and quiet. James Brolin, whose real name is Craig Kenneth Bruderlin, was born on July 18, 1940, in Los Angeles, where the temperature was 103 degrees. His father, Henry, a strict building constructor, was there just 12 minutes before he was born. James lived under military rules by the time he was 4. There were chore lists, weekly evaluations, and no softness. No stories before bed. No heat. When he was 7, he had a bad asthma episode that put him in the hospital for 45 days. The nurses recalled him as the calm youngster who lay still and stared at the ceiling while he gasped for air. No one came to see the child, not once. He subsequently added, "It wasn't just my lungs that hurt. My heart was too." By 9, he had a rare mechanical intelligence that let him take apart and put back together his father's wristwatch correctly. Changed him like the movies. When he was 15 years old, he saw James Dean in East of Eden, and it changed everything for him. He rode his bike 17 miles every Saturday for 6 months to practice his expressions, positions, and whole monologues. This was not a dream. It was a way out, a path out of silence and into a life where he finally meant something. Losing James Dean and his own voice. The world mourned when James Dean died on September 30th, 1955. But for young Craig Bruderlin, it was more than that. It was an identity crisis. He didn't yell or cry, he just stopped talking. For 11 days, his mom thought he was being overdramatic, but teachers saw something else. His anguish was so deep that it had taken away his voice. One of his handmade movies, which he shot with a broken 8mm camera he bought with $200 he saved from his paper route, was uncovered by a teacher who covertly sent it to UCLA. Nicholas Ray, who directed Rebel Without a Cause, gave it an honorable mention, which is surprising. For the first time, someone in charge remarked, "You are talented." But things didn't go well. Fear followed, debilitating stage fright, sickness before every audition, and the continuous feeling that his father's voice was right, that he would never be good enough. He kept going, nevertheless, bearing James Dean's spirit like a candle in the dark. He didn't only look up to Dean, he became the parts of himself that died with Dean. And in that awful quiet, a star was being born, hungry, homeless, and invisible in Hollywood. Hollywood didn't want him, it just ignored him. James Brolin lived in a rusty Volkswagen Beetle, parked behind a 7-Eleven while he was in his mid-20s. He ate cold canned beans, cleaned them in gas station sinks, and penned monologues by flashlight. Casting directors said to him, "You're too stiff. "You're too tall. We already have one like you. We're not looking for you." The producer didn't like his voice. Therefore, he was dismissed in the middle of filming a TV drama. He begged for half of the money he had made. They said no. He sat in his car that night and said to himself, "If I quit now, I'll never forgive myself." He continued going, though, saying Shakespeare behind dumpsters, copying Brando in the bathroom mirror for hours. I looked at Clint Eastwood's squint. Then, fate stepped in. A janitor noticed him going over his lines behind a loading dock. That janitor was friends with someone, and that person knew someone else. James got a call for a screen test a week later. It wasn't by chance. It was ultimately worth it to spend every broken night in that car. The break that kept him alive. In 1969, he got his big break when he was cast as Dr. Stephen Kiley in Marcus Welby, MD. He didn't comprehend the character, but he felt it intensely. He said, "I didn't know the medical terms, but I knew what it was like to be in pain." His performance was real, honest, and human. The audience connected right away. The show became a huge hit across the country, earning primetime Emmys and making Brolin a household figure. He finally came out of the shadows and into the sunshine when he was 30. But the win was bittersweet. His marriage was on the rocks. His mental health was getting worse. And celebrity, instead of helping, made every insecurity worse. He subsequently said, "Success can sometimes show you things about yourself that you're afraid to see." But winning the Emmy offered him something priceless, proof that he belonged. He told a reporter, shaking hands with the trophy, "If I hadn't fixed that car that day, you'd be talking to a mechanic, not an actor. That mechanic rescued engines. This actor saved his own life." Roles that showed his inner scars. In the 1970s, James had a lot of roles that reflected his inner struggle. He played a military veteran who was falling apart in Skyjacked, and his acting was so real that many people thought he had PTSD himself. He played a thrill-seeker in Westworld who was being hunted by machines just like fame was stalking him. Then there was the Amityville Horror, 1979, a movie that scared the globe and made over $86 million worldwide, which was a huge success at the time. James said that during rehearsals, a book flew from a shelf for no reason. Was it just a coincidence? Possibly. But that moment made him more intense on TV. Years later, he stunned everybody by starring in Pee-wee's Big Adventure and making fun of himself. Then, in Hotel, he achieved consistency as an actor, director, and eventually as someone who was respected in the industry. These roles were more than just acting. They were a form of therapy. Each persona helped him let go of some of the sorrow he had been carrying since he was a child. There was a star in Hollywood. James was attempting to keep himself from breaking. A storm born from silence. Barbra Streisand. The story of Barbra Streisand sounds like a miracle that sprang from wounds. Her father died when she was 15 months old because of a medical error that happened during a seizure. After that, her mother pulled away from life, leaving Barbra emotionally empty. She didn't have a living room or any privacy in her Brooklyn apartment. She didn't even have her own bedroom until she was 16. She didn't want gowns as a child. She wanted closets to hide in. She left home with a bag and a voice that was more about survival than skill when she was 16. She slept on the couches of people she didn't know, sang in smoky basements where the air scorched her lungs and was constantly turned down. "You're not pretty enough. Your nose is too big. Your name is weird. You don't look like it." She didn't give up. She changed. In 1960, she wore a $6 outfit from a thrift store and went to a small nightclub, and her voice made everyone in the room quiet. She was on Broadway by 1962. She received 2 Grammy Awards for her first album by 1963. She received an Oscar for Funny Girl, her debut movie, in 1969. Barbra didn't make it to the top. She fought her way there with injuries, willpower, and a voice that came from pain. The unlikely meeting of 2 broken souls. In 1996, fate finally brought together 2 persons who had been living alone for decades. Barbra has been on 28 bad dates. James was going to meet another woman, but he changed his mind at the last minute. Their first talk wasn't about love. Barbra stared at James and said, "Who did your hair?" It should have ended the night. It didn't close a door, though. James didn't hear an insult. He heard the truth, which was something he had been missing. Their relationship blossomed slowly, with care, like two hurt animals learning to trust one another. James asked 3 times. He wrote her a letter by hand that was 24 pages long. She finally said yes after that. It cost $1.4 million for them to get married in 1998, but it wasn't a Hollywood-style wedding. It was a safe place. James had trouble sleeping for 27 years before he met her. He only slept in pieces, but next to Barbra, he slept through the night for 642 nights in a row before they got married. That wasn't love. It helped me heal. He commented earlier, "Barbra didn't just change my life, she saved it." A love built on quiet rituals. Their Malibu home wasn't a celebrity paradise, it was a safe place to stay. They kept their money separate for years, not because they were far apart, but because they respected one another. They lived together, but gave each other space. They fought, but instead of yelling, they worked things out by going for long, quiet walks. And what was the center of their world? They jokingly called it the boardroom bed, and it cost $35,000. They worked together to make 37 huge puzzles, 278 pages of handwritten journal entries, lyrics to songs, notes for movies, plans for giving back, drafts of books. They became better here. This is where they dreamed, and their love didn't break, even after spending 425 days together under lockdown. It grew. Barbra's passion became greater too. She started the Women's Heart Center at Cedars-Sinai, funded millions for heart research, and became a major advocate for women's health. Her work has saved many lives. James sat next to her, adjusting her pillows, bringing her tea, and reading her early chapters out loud while she worked on her 970-page memoir, which was an emotional excavation that spanned 7 decades. It wasn't glamorous. It was love, the disease that no one wants to talk about. Barbra has not been seen in public as much in the last 2 years. Events she used to go to every year went on without her knowing. People inside talked of cognitive strain, physical fatigue, and rapid exhaustion, but her staff won't say what the condition is. But the proof is there. James said no to a $2 million movie role. Their separate accounts came together for the first time in more than 20 years. Barbra canceled a lot of plans. James said to the producers, "I can't commit right now." He stays at home almost every day now. This isn't the end of your career. It's getting ready. A slow, agonizing change in the way they conduct their lives. James moves her notes around every morning now. He makes her tea just the way she loves it. He reads the lyrics and gently fixes the lines that her hands are having trouble finishing. He keeps holding her hand. He watches her sleep, as if he were protecting every breath she takes. There has been no news, no explanation of the diagnosis, but James is aware, and he's choosing love over the job he established with effort, sweat, and tears. For the first time in his life, celebrity doesn't matter. A marriage that became a safe place. Their home is now more peaceful, slower, and holy. James keeps the outer world at bay by turning down interviews, scripts, and trips. He makes her favorite meals, watches old movies she likes, and sometimes performs the lullaby she penned for him on the piano. Their love was never based on passion. It was about being there, not fireworks, but the light of candles, not statements, but selecting gently every day. Hollywood is all about glamour, gowns, and red carpets. But their marriage was formed on things that weren't seen. A hand to hold throughout sleepless nights, a soft voice to calm you down amid anxiousness, a blanket to share on cold nights, a quiet understanding when words hurt too much. This isn't love. This is a collaboration. This is something that doesn't happen very often in the world. Two individuals clutching each other softly as time pulls at their edges. James Brolin's quiet farewell. At 85, he knows the reality that no one likes to express out loud. Time is not moving forward anymore. It is folding in on itself. He doesn't mind dying. He doesn't want to leave her alone. He originally wanted to act till he died. Now, all he wants is to stay with Barbra until she dies. He told a close friend not long ago, "If I lose her, there won't be much left of me." James spent his whole life looking for a place to call home, in fame, in roles, in relationships, and even in the cars he slept in. But home wasn't a place. It was Barbra Streisand. And now he has to confront the horrible truth. He could have to say goodbye soon. He hasn't said it out loud yet, but with every cancelled project and every calm day spent with her, his heart is already getting ready for the end. This isn't a sad movie from Hollywood. This is a person. And it's happening behind the same closed doors that used to heal their love, a love that will last forever. People will remember their story, not for the celebrity or the flash, but for the closeness that grew in the calm. A love that doesn't need the spotlight to stay alive. James doesn't count years anymore. He counts the times, the way she smiles when he brings her tea, the way her hand fits inside his, how her voice gets softer when she says his name, how she leans toward him when she's sleepy, how safe their quiet makes them feel. Very few love tales last once they become famous. Even fewer last through time. But theirs made it through everything. Maybe that's the lesson. You can't prove love while you're young. It is demonstrated with time, when one partner starts to fade and the other won't let go. James Brolin's last chapter will not be written in Hollywood. It will be written next to Barbra's bed, in the quiet, patient, tragic dedication of a man who discovered home late in life and is now getting ready to bid goodbye to it. Please press the like button if this tale made you feel something. Subscribe up to get more powerful stories about real-life celebrities, and leave a comment to let us know whether you think this kind of love still exists.